News and views this morning, and we continue with the show this morning looking at debt rescue. Now, according to a recent survey, at least 85% of all South Africans need help, either financially, emotionally, or both, as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And this morning, we're joined by Neil Roots, who is the chief executive of Debt Rescue. Neil, good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Well, Neil, it's obvious with the pandemic, with the state of joblessness in the country, further jobs that were lost in the last few months, 2.2 million, and a lot more expected from now until the end of the year. There is severe financial economic pressure on many South Africans at this point in time.
Yes, unfortunately, that's the reality. If we also look at the situation before lockdown and before this whole pandemic, we weren't in a good state at all. So financially, people had it very difficult already. And then we were hit by this pandemic, which included the lockdown, jobs were lost, the incomes were cut. It just was too much for the consumers in South Africa to bear. So and yes, the reality is it's not going to stop now. It's going to continue. We're going to see the interest rates start going up. We are going to see petrol prices going up. All these things are still going to affect consumers. And the reality is we're also going to see more businesses closing down because the effects of this whole pandemic is not going to stop now.
Yes, Neil. I think one of the key issues here is, if we look at the high percentage of people that require financial assistance at this point in time, but at the same time, these are people who don't have access to credit. And this is a worrying factor. But also at the same time, when one looks at even debt relief that was being offered during this period by banks, and this obviously has added to the debt. In fact, an additional 20.7 billion rands worth of debt was settled. And so there seems to be no light at the end of the tunnel. It's just that people are getting deeper and deeper in the rut.
Yes, that's a reality, and a lot of institutions, if I can call it that, tried to help during lockdown. We saw that government implemented a lot of debt relief measures. The banks gave out payment holidays, but the reality is it wasn't enough. With regards to the debt relief that was given by a government or the relief aids, it was mainly targeted at businesses. So, and some businesses did enjoy the benefit of that, but there's thousands and perhaps millions of people who never saw any benefit from these financial aids given by government. And then also with regards to the payment holidays, the reality is that the banks did not give these payment holidays because they tried to save the day. The main reason why they gave these payment holidays to begin with was for their books to look better. Because remember, it's going to look better to their investors if they show the investors that they gave a payment holiday rather than having payment defaults on their books. So that was more an accounting exercise than anything else. So, and the reality is that is now over. And people are really starting to realize that it's now over because we found ourselves in a situation during lockdown where people were just sitting kind of in limbo and did not act on anything. They did not seek for help because they felt that somebody will come to their help in the form of giving out financial aids and so on. And it didn't happen. So people are realizing that now, and they're starting to apply for debt review. So we're very fortunate in South Africa to have brilliant legislation to help people who are over indebted.
Just looking at this whole process of debt review and people are wanting to obviously make use of what is available to them as far as going into debt review. And I know you mentioned the legislation, which to a large extent is providing some comfort to people who are indebted. Now, or just what are some of the recommendations, Neil, from your side for people seeking to go into debt review?
Well, the first thing I think everybody should do during these times is to draw up a budget, and you can call it the Corona budget if you want to, because times are not the same as it was before this whole pandemic. So people should really draw up a budget and stick to that budget. But if they do find themselves in a situation where you do not have enough money to pay for all your living expenses and all your credit installments at the end of the month, then you should seek help as soon as possible, and you should approach a debt counselor as soon as possible. What the debt counselor will then do is assess your financial situation. He will look at your financial expenses and your income, and then compare the two. And if your expenses are more than your income, it means that you will qualify for debt review. And what we will do then is reduce your monthly installments towards your credit providers so that you have enough money to pay off your debt, but in the same time also have enough money to pay for all your living expenses that you need on a monthly basis.
I think what is scary, Neil, is if people are earning some income, some money, at least there is an opportunity to extend repaying the debt. But the biggest concern is where people have absolutely no income and they're in debt. And I think this is where we are heading for when one looks at the situation over the next few months. The signs are not good. It sounds ominous.
You're 100% right. And that is a reality. A lot of people are going to find themselves in that situation, and they already do. There's a lot of people who lost their total income. But there's also always something that we can do and try to help people. For instance, if a person has lost their job, but their spouse still have an income, there's something to work with. And we can use that one income of the spouse as a income for the whole household. And we can work with that, and we can still service the debt to some extent. So people mustn't just give up. They must still go out and seek help, because there's always something that you can do. And if you are in a situation where both spouses have lost their income, there's also a process called voluntary sequestration that we can use and at least write off your debt. Because yes, we won't be able to place you under debt review where you can keep your assets, but we can at least get rid of your debt in such circumstances.
Exactly. And I think, obviously we're talking about financial distress, but I'm sure, Neil, you've seen a lot of emotional distress as well.
Yes, there's a lot of emotional stress coming with this whole pandemic and with these difficult times. I mean, you've got the medical people looking after the health of people during this time. But then also there's two other parts that's very important, and that's where you need to seek help for your emotional distress and also your financial distress. And there are people out there, brilliant professional people in South Africa, to help you with both these problems. But people must admit that we are going through difficult times and we need help, and you should not feel embarrassed to go out and ask for help.
Well, Neil, thank you very much for that, and spending time with us this morning here on Salam Media and providing us with that update. We wish you all the best. Take care.
Thank you very much.
That's Neil Roots joining us this morning here on Salam Media, and we are looking at debt counseling, debt review, and as a result of people losing their jobs, people losing their incomes. And also joining me in studio, as always, he's got his finger on the pulse, providing us with latest updates, is Mohammed Arai. Mohammed, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Vinay. Just very quickly, before we go on to the ad break, we do understand in the second hour we're going to be speaking with Brooke Spector, who's of course the retired US diplomat
set
now
in
set in
Johannesburg. And the discussion will revolve around the conversation, how will Donald Trump's COVID-19 status affect the US elections? And we do understand Trump returned to the White House yesterday evening after about 3 days in hospital for treatment of coronavirus. So we're asking our listeners, how do you think Trump's COVID-19 status will affect the US elections, if any way? So of course, you can let us know. You can call in our studio recording line is 011-680-0355, or you can WhatsApp your messages and voice notes on 061-766-0355.
Shukran for that, Mohammed. Yes, we are talking with Brooke Spector a little later on, discussing Donald Trump and COVID-19, having tested positive for COVID-19, and how is that likely to impact on his campaign. The time is just gone, 11 minutes to 9. We come back, we'll be joined by Ibrahim Vauda.
Osman's Taj Mahal Spice and Rice. For over 80 years, Osman's Taj Mahal